All right, we're back. Week 6 NFL recap, but that's not the big news of the week. We got some big news. Poker Guy, you got the torpedoes out. We hit the iceberg, and I got to think that we may have finally sunk the SS Tuna Can.
The SS Tuna Can is currently on its way down to the bottom of the ocean.
She's taking on water. She's taking it on.
To any of the listeners that know shit about audio, we've been having issues with my sound. I think the problem was my webcam was actually getting audio inputted to it. So it was creating this metallic-y effect as if I was in a tuna can. Bobby Fever's been enraged for weeks. And
we've all been enraged. We've all been struggling with this.
The one guy in Europe, he's relieved knowing that we're out of the tuna can. And now I'm in this new setup where I can hear my voice, and it's pissing me off and driving me crazy. But what are you going to do? It's better than driving the SS Tuna Can.
It's better than captaining that ship. Right? It really is. Better than doing that. Anything's better than that. That last one, like we said at the beginning, we knew it before we started recording, but that was your worst audio to date. And that's what kind of sparked this troubleshooting session. We got into a point where, man, I couldn't even listen to that. Couldn't listen to that. It was fucking terrible.
It took us 2 hours, and I think we finally sank that bitch. You sunk my battleship. Success. Speaking of sinking battleships, let's get right to it. Let's talk some NFL. This isn't the first game that pops up on everybody's feed, but it's the first game that I was really appalled by. Seahawks Raiders. Oof. That ship is sinking at 1-5. John Gruden looks confused, disgruntled on the sidelines. What do you think, bud?
It was tough. That was one of these I didn't even know because who gives a shit about Raiders Seahawks, but that was actually played in London. So they played that overseas.
I saw that.
Because I looked at the field and I was like, hey, that's not spray painted dirt. What's going on? This is supposed to be a Raiders home game.
I was confused because you could see the soccer lines. I'm like, what soccer team is in Oakland? Like, what?
What football teams in Oakland is going to be nobody come next year? That's going to be the answer to that question. What football teams in Oakland right now? Really no football team, just the shredded remains of what used to be a football team. So Seahawks and Raiders head over to England. Seahawks put a whooping on the Raiders, 27-3. Derek unicycle, 142 yards passing. Wilson, 222, 3 touchdowns. Seahawks defense looked good. Seahawks offense looked good, but they played the Raiders, so it's tough to say. They're 1-5, and they are probably the worst team in the NFL.
It almost looks like they put barely 200 yards of offense. That's pretty bad. I don't know what else you can say. Their offense looks terrible. Their defense looks deflated. John Gruden looks confused. He's officially the most... Like, can you fire him? Like, is it too late?
What's the buyout on that? $90 million at this point? We got to start thinking about it.
You might need it.
He's at Gus Malzahn levels of buyout, which we're going to get to that later on in our distressed SEC fan section of the day.
Cut right in. Let's cut right in.
Let's just cut right into it. Let's get into it here. Let me get my research out here real quick, which is basically screenshots of comment threads. I like to get into these SEC message boards, see what the hell people are saying about stuff, so and then see who's freaking out the most.
Tennessee beat the Gus Malzahn-led Auburn Tigers.
They beat them, and that has inspired two very different reactions between the two fan bases. Now, we got everyone in Tennessee, and they are acting like they just won the championship. All right, so they think they got a new lease on life.
Those checkerboard pants, they're getting ironed, they're getting washed, they're being worn.
They're getting their Derek Dooley pants back out, and they're getting ready to put them on and wear them with pride. But so Vols fan 88 on Reddit, he says he's just sitting on his couch in utter confusion. Score doesn't make sense. We have more points. I'm like, yeah, there you go. They lost 11 in a row. Great to get off the schneid. Lots of good stuff happening out there in Rocky Top. They're playing that. Peyton Manning's sitting around with his gigantic head covered in a shitty Tennessee hat. He's going to have a few, I don't know what beer he's selling these days, Coors Light probably. But hopes return to Tennessee football. They finally won an SEC game.
Congratulations, Tennessee Volunteer fans. You needed a win.
Congratulations, Tennessee Volunteer fans. You've made it out of the basement of at least the hurt feelings, because you're not getting out. You're still not out of the basement of the SEC. You're still in general.
You're still at the bottom of the SEC, for God's sakes.
Yeah, you're at the bottom of the SEC. But here's the people that are at the bottom of the emotional bucket of the SEC. And that's the Auburn Tiger fans. So they're the people that are in real distress this weekend. Two fan bases we're going to talk about being in distress: Auburn Tigers and then the Georgia Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs lost a big game.
Ooh, that was a bad one.
But we're going to get on Auburn here first. And people are freaking out about Gus Malzahn. Yeah. Some dude put a post out. He's like, 2,426 days left of the Gus Malzahn contract. So they got into this thing, and they're asking themselves, how much is it really going to cost to get rid of this fucking guy? So if you're an Auburn fan, you know this number by heart. So bringing Gus out at the end of this season is going to cost them $32 million.
Are they going to do it? I mean, they have to at this point. They're 1-3 in the conference. They're not winning games. They're not playing good football. The only thing that would maybe save his job is if they can beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl, which isn't going to happen. So
that's not happening. And then they're doing the math. They're saying to themselves, all right, in 3 years, it's only going to be about $15 million. So then we've got a reasonable shot. So everybody in Auburn is just settling in.
Not a good place
more
to
Gus
be.
Malzahn. And they are really, really, really sad. Like, a lot of times you hit the bottom of this, but you're like, all right, let's just fire this coach, and then we're gonna be all right. We're gonna get somebody good in here, start to steer this ship in the right direction. But that's not gonna happen for Auburn. When you don't have the hope of being able to fire your football coach, that really takes a lot away. And then this one guy, Coffee and Pomade. So he says, on dark Saturdays like this, it puts all the world and football into perspective. One day I'll be dead, and then Gus won't be able to let me down anymore. And then this dude mega goes bees. I don't know what the hell that is. He's like, well, dude, he could be your pallbearer, and then he'll let you down one last time. So that's a classic joke, but well placed. So credit to them. They want Malzahn gone. And whenever anyone in the SEC loses a game, I don't know. I don't doubt who they're going to say someone needs to be fired. I just get curious as to who it's going to be.
It's got to be like the athletics director for I don't know.
Yeah, so they're actually saying, all right, well, we can't fire Gus Malzahn, but somebody's got to be punished. And a lot of people are saying, can we fire the president of the university or the athletic director or somebody? Somebody's got to pay for this. And, we'll see who that is.
They want justice. The people
want justice. They want blood. They don't necessarily want justice. They want blood. Whether that's justice or not it's secondary. They don't care about that. Now, the other SEC fan base that's really struggling this weekend, of course, we got the LSU Tigers beat the Georgia Bulldogs. There are a lot of drunk Cajuns running around down in Louisiana this weekend. They had Drew Brees last week. The Saints are off this week. But there's just nothing but good feelings down there in Louisiana. That is at the expense of the Georgia Bulldogs. They went into LSU, caught a whooping, and now there's two people whose heads are on the line. People are saying, hey, this is Kirby Smart's fault, but they're not calling for his job because they know they got a good coach. They know he knows what he's doing. They're calling for two other people's job, though. They're saying, I guess some guy named Chaney, I don't know what his first name is, but he's the offensive coordinator, and then Jake Fromm's a quarterback down there. They want both those fucking guys gone. They said, we should have put Fields in. Fields is their number one quarterback recruit, which I think Fromm was as well. They're like, fuck this guy. I know he got us to a national championship game last year, but we got to get rid of him. And then some dude came out.
Offense is really like a runny offense, and so they have this pro quarterbacks it's kind of hard to mesh all the running backs together with him trying to be like Tom Brady, Just put
it's hard to do that.
Put the fastest guy in, have him run people over, and then that's how you win games. Look at fucking Alabama. Just copy the Alabama template. You'll be fine.
Well, that's what everybody's trying to do, but they're not able to do that. Georgia fans, they're kind of freaking out, but then they're like, hey, well, we shot our pants against Auburn. Let's not lose focus. We can still still get to the mountaintop that we're trying to get to. That game in Jacksonville here in a few weeks against the Gators and the Bulldogs, it's going to be a monster. That's going to be a monster.
It'll be an important game. But the Gators didn't play that well against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was able to put up like 27 points. So Florida fans high-fiving each other, circle jerking each other. But it's not over just yet. Florida-Georgia game's important. I don't think Florida can come out of that. Georgia wins that shit. It'll likely be Alabama-Georgia again. And we'll see where that goes.
As a college football fan, it's good to have them back. Good to have Florida back doing their thing.
I love just watching all these SEC teams beat up on each other. It's just better football.
It's better. I mean, the better the records are going into the game, the better the crowd shots are of the losing team's faces. So I'm huge on that. It's like the favorite part of college football.
Yeah. Georgia fans crying was pretty awesome this weekend. A lot of sad bulldog like analogies. A lot of sad dogs.
A lot of sad dogs. I'll tell you what, though. I was looking on South Carolina on their stuff, and they got the most champion there, obviously. They're not doing well. They got beat by A&M, had a comeback win. A&M had a comeback win. And they're one of these fan bases, they're not freaking out. They're not freaking out because I think they know that they suck. Like, they don't have false expectations that they should be good.
Exactly.
Because they've never really been good. So they're like, man, as long as we can fucking beat Clemson, that'll make the year. We get to a bowl, we beat Clemson, that'll make the year for us.
The surprising team out of everything is Kentucky. They were able to beat South Carolina. They did get their asses kicked by Texas A&M, but they did take them to overtime. So Kentucky's been surprisingly good. It's almost like they forgot that they're football or a basketball school. They're trying to be a football school, which is odd. But again, anything that's good for the SEC as a whole, all ships rise with the tide. So it's a good thing for football fans.
It's a good thing for football fans. And then I saw something in relation to that Georgia game where somebody literally, when they rushed the field, they grabbed some grass off the LSU football field. They put it in a Ziploc bag, and they're like, I'm going to keep this thing. That's how special tonight's win was. I'm going to staple this fucking Ziploc bag of grass up onto my wall and then take a picture of it to let somebody know how special this was.
I'm going to pass it down to my great grandkids, and then they're going to look back and say, my grandmammy and my grandpappy, they were at this game. Yeah. Mark the date. This decayed brown detritus. This is
put that in the will. We're going to put that in the will with the moonshine still. We're going to put all that together. And we're going to pass that along to the grandkids.
I was laughing that they had all the shots of like the LSU, like old timers, like clapping and high fiving each other. Just looked so funny to me. They were all wearing pink and yellow and purple, and they just.
I wonder ridiculous. If Booger McFarland was at that game, ruining it for everybody, just like he does every Monday night.
He might have not been at that game, but he was ruining somebody's time because if it was his wife or his friends or his neighbors, his presence was pissing somebody off.
Booger, shut up. Quit yelling cliches at me. I'm tired of this bullshit. Just like everybody in Oakland's tired of getting their ass kicked. I'll tell you what, 2 1-4 teams heading into this weekend. I think the Raiders are legit. They were a legit 1-4 team. They're a bottom dwelling basement team. Falcons, it feels weird to say it, but were they the best 1-4 team in NFL history heading into the weekend? Well, I don't know. But now they're 2-4. They took on Jameis and the Buccaneers, 34-29. Falcons come out on top. Matt Ryan, another big game, 354 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Winston racked up the scoreboard, but 2 classic didn't see that guy picks from Jameis. Ended up costing the Buccaneers in the end. They did put up 29 points on that Falcons defense. Has been struggling all year, but Falcons get the win at home. And I don't think they're back in anything, but I don't know if they make the playoffs, but I don't want to fucking see them on my schedule if I'm anybody, because they're up and down, but they're a dangerous team.
Yeah, they played a good game. You just got to see what how they wake up in the morning. But Julio Jones, I heard some interesting stat line about him, is that he has the most receptions out of any wide receiver, but he has the fewest touchdowns at 0. He's got 0 touchdowns, but he's had a productive season, which is kind of crazy. which means they're using him in the open field, and then when it comes to the red zone, they're just giving it to Coleman, and he's just like bashing it in.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to take what you can get. I mean, they've been scoring the hell out of the ball. He had 143 yards today, no touches, but it's probably that sort of thing where they're doubling him up in the red zone, taking them away. And, Matt Ryan's got to find the open guy.
Totally. I thought it was cool. Did you see that last play, though? I thought that was pretty hilarious.
I did not.
It was like fourth down. There's like 7 seconds left. They're at like the 20-yard line, and there's no time. It's like the last play.
Yeah.
And they rushed like 3 or they rushed 4, and James is standing there like a fucking Momo.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. And they lateraled it back to Deshaun Jackson, and he would have fucking scored if it would have been a good lateral.
Yeah. I think Mike Evans lateraled it, and he just kind of did it rushed and didn't get a good look. But had he done a better lateral, Deshaun Jackson would have barreled.
He'd have had a chance. He would have had a chance. He's a quick guy.
He had a chance. And that would have been a Falcons loss, and Buccaneers would be at 3-3, and the Falcons would be at 1-5.
That'd be tough to swallow. That is the last play. Maybe that's a turning point though for the Falcons, and Lady Luck starts to smile on them. Could be a turning point for the Panthers as well. They had an opportunity late to try and win this thing. Weren't able to. Redskins
Cam
beat
played like shit. Cam played like absolute dog shit at the end. That last drive, I don't know what the fuck he smoked before the game, but it wasn't a good showing by Cam.
No, bad Cam was there today. You get out-dueled by Alex Smith. You're never on the high end of things. Adrian Peterson, he must have only watched the first half of The Rock today before the game because he only got 17 attempts. That doesn't make me happy. I like to see him at least with 25 attempts every game. It's not going to affect him. You can't. Nothing can hurt you if you don't believe in it, and he doesn't believe in CTE, so that can't hurt Adrian. But and then it always throws me off, the Redskins with that V. Davis receiver. Man, is Vontae playing for them? Is he? He doesn't play offense. He doesn't play anything anymore, actually.
Yeah, he plays Fortnite. He plays Fortnite at home. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's like he's challenging people to Madden for $100 a game on Twitter. That's kind of what Vontae's up to these days.
Kind of crazy. The Redskins are at the top at 3-2. They're above everybody.
Yeah, they're at the top of that division.
East. Pretty wild.
That's gonna be touch and go the whole year as to who wins that thing. The NFC East, AFC South, those are what the fuck's going on here divisions.
Yeah.
Vikings hosting the Cardinals. So I think they were 9-point favorites here. They 27-17. They covered. Kirk Cousins, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also had a very costly fumble. Adam Thielen, he's on fire, absolutely on fire. That guy can't be stopped. Josh Rosen, I don't know. He's still a rookie. He made a couple nice throws down the field, but he's really struggling in the red zone for the Cardinals.
Not a surprise. He's a rookie, so I mean he can get it down there. But once you hit the red zone, it's just doesn't work for you. Speaking of that, we'll get into that later. But speaking of rookies and players that don't know what the fuck they're doing, Deshaun Watson's having a really bad year when it comes to the red zone. We'll get to that though because the Texans got a little lucky this week.
Yeah, we got a gift to Billy O'Brien from a very special gentleman. Very special gentleman. You could have counted on it as soon as you saw it was going down. And here we go. Here's the Poker Guy Nostradamus Award. Your exact words. Nobody heard him. All right. Nobody fucking heard him because of your shit-tastic audio. But during that garbled sandwich that you were chewing on and spitting out during the last podcast, you did say that this Jets-Colts game had the potential to go nuclear. I think you said it could be like a 50-45 game. Well, it was damn near that as the Jets hosting the Colts, 42-34. Sam Darnold looking like the truth. Andrew Luck, he had a good game minus those 3 picks. But here's the real thing. So I'm getting into it with people on Twitter. Yeah, kind of roasting Eli because why wouldn't you? And at this point, Darnold's definitely the best quarterback in the New York area, probably followed by Josh McCown. And, of course, Odell Beckham, he's the best quarterback in the Giants. So best case scenario for Eli at the moment is he's the 4th best professional quarterback in the New York metro area.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. Depends on how you look at it. Is the glass half full, half empty? Nathan Peterman's much better than Eli Manning at throwing interceptions. So it just really depends on how you look at it. But what an incredible game for both quarterbacks. Pretty wild that New York passed on Sam Darnold. Definitely comes back to bite you in the ass watching Sam Darnold.
That's got to be great. It'd be kind of like if the Clippers passed on Kobe Bryant and they had to fucking shuffle into the Staples Center every week and stare at the Lakers banners while the guy they passed on the draft was just stacking them up there.
I would not mind seeing Sam Darnold become this incredible once-in-a-lifetime, decade-esque player, and like Troy Aikman 2.0 or something, and brings him back to the glory years, and watching the Giants fans just have to deal with that bullshit.
The Jets never really had any glory years. They had that one Super Bowl with Namath. God damn, it was 50 years ago at this point. So that was the last time anything noteworthy happened to the Jets outside of the butt fumble. And of course, one of my favorite football moments of all time, Joe Namath's drunken interview with Susie Colbert. that's for the Mount Rushmore of on-field interviews. You've seen that, right? You know what I'm talking about.
I haven't, but rest assured I'm going to YouTube it as soon as
So when you do YouTube it, this is essentially what you're going to see. So Susie Colbert goes to talk to Joe Namath before or after, during, I don't know, some sort of football game. And he is fucking wasted. Just red-faced, partying with Jim all day long, fucked up.
This is post-game?
What's that?
This is post-game?
I don't. This is some, before or after, during the game. It's right around game time. I don't know exactly when it was.
Okay.
But he just looks at her. He's like, "I love you." He's just fucking, "I love you." And it's an all-time classic. Look that up on YouTube if you're not familiar with that.
Speaking of drunken
Jets, they go ahead. They
really
carry the day. They're 3-3. That's about as good as you could hope for in New York. I mean, they're in a weak division. They get to play the Dolphins at a certain point. They got Minnesota coming in next week. They got a tough stretch, Minnesota, Chicago. Who knows how that's going to go, but there's reason for optimism with the Jets that obviously won't carry over into the Giants season as that progresses. We got the Dolphins. Speaking of the Dolphins, all right, you got lucky. You got lucky.
It's all about the schedule, man. You'll notice a lot of these teams are getting lucky. It's the schedule that's helping them out. They had to play.
Yeah, the Bears ate their own asses this week. They thought they were hot shit. Guess what? Mitch Trubisky is still your quarterback. I don't know what that coach was doing at the end of, was that regulation? Playing for a 55-yard field goal. I'm sorry, does Graham Gano kick for your team? He doesn't? Well, then try and move the fucking ball up the field a little bit further. Do the math. 53-yard field goals are not easy to make. And let's just say it. I mean, you can't leave the door open for the Brockmeister like that. You're going to pay the price.
Yeah. Brock Lobster got pretty lucky, though. The Bears defense didn't have a good game.
No, I mean, what was Khalil Mack? People were saying, the announcers were saying it may have something to do with the heat. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but it's still hot as shit down there in Florida this time of year.
It was hot as fuck today. I will say it was hot as fuck.
So tough loss for the Bears.
Well, it's a tough loss for the Bears. That should have been a win by them. Excuse me. They could have won it multiple times. And then I guess the Dolphins did shit their pants. They fumbled at the 1.
Yeah.
Which was
he had it.
Awesome. Which is like hysterical. They fumbled at the 1, but they were able to come through with the win. So all the jaded Dolphins fans who don't even know who their coach is, they're celebrating, they're having fun, but they're going to have to play the Patriots again at some point, and then they're going to be 4-3, and they're going to have to play some real teams. So I enjoy it while you can, Miami. Enjoy it while you can.
Enjoy it while you got it. And my God, Frank Gore. Like that guy.
How old is that guy?
I don't know. He's old as hell. He's the Methuselah of NFL running backs. Yeah. And he's 15 attempts, 101 yards. That dude
You're talking about
Adrian football.
You're talking about Adrian Peterson not believing in CTE, but fucking Frank Gore doesn't believe in CTE or moderate amounts of hydration. Watching this guy play football it gives me exhaustion. I feel dehydrated.
He's played so much football. He's one of these guys. He's going to be walking around on just crutches by the time he's 45.
He's going to have a hover round. He's going to have a goddamn hub around, buzzing around from Denny's to Cracker Barrel.
The NFL better buy him a fleet of Segways at the end of his career because he's fucking earned every one of them. He shouldn't have to walk a single step the rest of his life if he doesn't want to. That dude plays hard. He's a hard-running running back. You know who wasn't playing hard today is anyone who plays for the Cleveland Browns. They were hosting the Chargers. They got the shit kicked out of them. Greg Williams' defense gave up 38 points. Chargers 38. Browns 14. Chargers going to 4-2. So you're always doing the math. You're like, how do they make their way to 9-7 from where they're at? They're always going to find a way. But Phil Rivers in that other true road game, the silent count working. He's been working on that for the last 2 years, pitching out of the stretch. Melvin Gordon had a big game, 3 touchdown pass. If you're a fantasy owner, you're loving that. And Baker Mayfield, some of the steam, some of the wind coming out of the Baker Mayfield hype train sales.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because we all enjoyed the Baker Mayfield sideline Macarenas, but you got to give the credit where credit's due. The Chargers played a good game. For them, it's just another away game. Just for them, they're fueled by anger. They're like the Hulk reincarnated. So excited for the Chargers. Are forward to Browns fans. Is it too late to say that it's over at 2-3-1? Is it too late to say their season has kind of fizzled away with the Bengals coming in? Oh, the Bengals lost today, didn't they?
Yeah, Bengals lost to the Steelers. So we'll go ahead. We'll move on to that game. Steelers at the Bengals. Steelers 28, Bengals 21. Roethlisberger had a decent game on the road, but he fucking absolutely owns Cincinnati. I think they had a graphic up that he was 13-3 or 13-2 in his career in Cincinnati. Yeah. Steelers haven't lost there since 2013. Should have seen this one coming. James Conner. Good game for him, 19 attempts, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. There was a good Ben Roethlisberger interview at the end of this. Did you see that?
I did not.
Did you see that? Have you heard about that? So anyhow, Ben Roethlisberger is giving his post-game interview, and he says, all right, man, well, it was a good game by James, especially it being his last game with the team and all, with Le'Veon Bell coming back. Like, Ben, have you heard something from Le'Veon? And he's like, no. I'm just saying the bullshit that you losers are saying. It's just like, I'm just going off of media reports. So you guys know better than me what's going on. But it was great having James with the team while he was here.
That's awesome. I got to watch that.
So that was a good interview by Ben. You can do stuff like that after you've beaten down the Bengals for the, 15th out of 17 times. You got to feel comfortable.
They won the last 7 or the last 6, which is pretty remarkable. I was watching this play, the very last play where they gave it to Antonio Brown and he shimmied into the end zone. I guess they were saying that somebody kind of did an illegal route where they kind of picked.
If you're a Bengals fan, you're pissed as shit about that because they're up 21-20 at that point in time. The Steelers are right on the brink of field goal range.
Right after the Bengals came back, too. It was kind of like a comeback touchdown by Anthony.
Exactly. I mean, it's as a no call. I don't know how much time was left on the clock after that, but it was going to be tough for the Steelers to get back into field goal position if they would have called that correctly.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most blatant offensive pass interference calls that hasn't been called in a long time that's affected the game.
They need to fix that. They need to go back. They make calls that ruin the game, and then they miss calls that ruin the game. Luckily for me, I didn't really give a shit about the game. It's not like I'm a Bengals fan or give 2 shits. But I'm always going back to the same thing. The NFL is starting to deliver crappier product, and they're going to start losing fucking viewers. It's going to continue to lose viewers if they do that.
It was just it was a shitty non-call. It was very obvious. The ball was thrown past the line of scrimmage. You can't fucking block downfield. He didn't even do that thing where he puts his arms up in the air and pretends like, he's on a dance floor trying to molest some young lady. But he's like, no, I got my arms up in the air. I'm not trying to grind up against you. It's like, no, he's not even trying to fake that. He's just putting his hands on people, grabbing them, and then trying to keep them out of Brown's way. That was a terrible non-call. Steelers get the win against the Bengals. All right, here we go. Texans hosting
the only
the
game
Bills.
we really want to talk about.
This is the one we want to talk about. We got our favorite Billy O'Brien. We got Deshaun Watson. 177 yards, 2 picks. He threw that one pick in the end zone where it's just, what the fuck are you doing? There's nobody down there. Watson did.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then there was another thing that happened in that game that I thought was very entertaining. Did you see Jadeveon Clowney take that dude down by his dreads?
I didn't. Did he get flagged for it, or was it
He
just
did
one
not.
of those?
So taking someone down by their dreadlocks is not a flaggable offense. So
what?
You can't. You can pull anyone's hair. That's part of it's in the rule book. Like, you can just go fist fucking people's hair, rip it out of their heads, and drag them to the ground, and it's their fault for not tucking that shit into the back of their jersey. So
did they get rid of the horse collar?
It's not. Well, you can't horse collar people, but you can horse collar them by their dreadlocks. So, which I thought was interesting because it was a dreadlock on dreadlock crime, because Jadeveon's got some pretty sweet dreads himself, and he ended up going after that guy's dreads. And the funny thing was, he actually took him down, like, not by like an entire handful of dreads. Like, he got it, and then he got latched onto like one of those fucking things, like one or two like single dreads, and then just pulled him straight down to the ground. So that was a fantastic tackle.
That was a fantastic tackle. Speaking of good plays, did you see a certain interception at the end that ended up costing a certain team at the game? Did you end up seeing that?
Yeah. So the Bills quarterback, he ended up getting into a little bit of an injury. Josh Allen got injured, so they had to call in the cavalry. And unfortunately, when you're in Buffalo and you're circling the wagons and you need an extra quarterback, it's Nathan Peterman that you're bringing into the game. And he didn't have time to go full Peterman, but my God, if he did, he would have. So I saw a statistic. Nathan Peterman's thrown 10 interceptions on his last 82 NFL passes, which I believe is a 12-point-something interception rate. And a guy that posted, it was like, he's going to have – Alex Smith is at 1.2, is the lowest in the league. And he's like, Nathan Peterman would have to throw 982 complete passes without an interception to get down to that number.
I have a weird feeling. I'm not sure about a lot of things, but that's almost impossible for Nathan Peterman. I'm surprised he still has a job.
Yeah, can you just fucking cut that guy? Like, isn't there, like, I don't know, Matt Moore, or get one of the fucking Hasselbacks off the ESPN set? Like, who gives a shit? Get that fucking guy off your team and out of the league, because every time he goes in there, whoever does this live betting stuff is furiously trying to refresh their Bovada before the lines can change. They're like, oh, fuck, Peterman's going in. I got to bet on the Texans. And it's exactly what happened. He threw a pick six. He threw another pick at the end of the game. Thank you, Nathan Peterman. Thank you. We all needed that. You know who needed it most was Bill O'Brien, because
that was a very lucky gift given to Bill O'Brien. There's also another narrative. I don't know if you heard about this, but I'm going to read it to you. When the game was tied at 13-13, Nathan Peterman said to the coaching staff, and I quote, "I got this." And then he proceeded to throw.
Which coaching staff? The Texans or the Bills?
That's funny. That was one of the first comments that he probably said it to the Texans staff. That's pretty funny.
It's like, I got you, Bill O'Brien. I got you, dog.
That was the most limp dick thrown ball I've ever seen in my life. How many times has that?
I don't know. You haven't been watching Eli Manning much lately, if you're saying that.
Yeah, that's true. But that was a bad one. You should know better. You should be giving that ball to fucking whoever the running back is, Alfred Blue or whatever his name is. You should not be giving him that ball to throw it. Do not do that.
Just run the Wildcat the rest of the game. Just fucking run the Wildcat. Just pretend like you're Miami in 08 or whenever that was, and just run 20 Wildcat plays. Get in a single wing like your 1970s Oklahoma, and just start grinding shit out on the ground. At least you won't turn it over.
Congratulations to the fucking Texans. Congratulations. You guys deserve that win. At 3-3, you guys are at 500. Pretty remarkable. I still think those burners are going. Still going. Bill O'Brien, your job is still not set in stone, so I'd be careful. The one narrative, too, is J.J. Watt's having a killer season. He's tackling people. He's getting sacks. He's having a killer breakout season, so I hope he stays healthy. And I hope his career doesn't just take a shit and just, breaks another elbow, whatever the fuck's going wrong with
Yeah,
him.
he and Clowney on either side of that. You put them together. They're tough to deal with. It's that defense that's keeping the Texans into things. And you look at it. I mean, they're 3-3, not the way you want to get there, but they are 3-3. And then the next 3 games, I mean, they're at Jacksonville. That is suddenly a huge game with the Jaguars getting killed. But then they got Miami and Denver. So those are 2. If they win 2 of those 3, they're sitting at 5-4, and they're kind of close to where you thought they would be.
Yeah, they're back in it.
They're back in it. You know who's not in it is the Broncos. I'll tell you what, though, they covered. They covered, and I didn't see that one coming. But they did cover the spread. Rams came in, beat them 23-20. Goff, not the best game. Gurley. Hey, man, you got that guy on your fantasy team. You are loving life. 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. And there was a huge – apparently I'm not the only guy in the world that doesn't believe in Case Keenum, because there were about 80,000 people in Denver that didn't believe in him either today. He was getting the shit boot out of him.
Yeah, it's all garbage time yardage too. He did not have a good game.
Not have a good game. They did play better in the second half, but not good enough.
Not good enough. Just fire your coach. Bring back John Fox. Let's get it over with.
Yeah, bring back John Fox. I would love to go to a Broncos game and have that sign. I would love to see how all the other Broncos fans responded to that. Or at least a T-shirt that just said, bring back Fox. Or try and get Gary Kubiak to come back, even though he's resolved that he can't and he'll probably die if he coaches again. I would at least send someone to his house and see if you can coax him into coming back.
Oof, that's pretty crazy. I think he had some footage back when he was the coach of the Texans where he had like a heart attack on the sidelines.
He's had like 10 heart attacks on the sideline.
It's pretty scary to watch. Like, why is that? I'm asking because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to turn 50.
It's because every Sunday you think that you're going to get fired and your family's going to have to move. That's why. It's a pretty stressful way to live your life.
That's true.
So there's nothing easy about that. Vance Joseph's definitely proven that to be true because he can't get a fucking handle on how to coach a football team. Another guy people are shitting on is Mike Vrabel. So Titans started off strong, and I was actually a little bit of murmur for him as coach of the year. Well, today the Ravens go in there 21-0. They take the Titans out. Marcus Mariota.
Wow.
Very, very flaccid.
Very flaccid. 117 yards. That's terrible.
When you get out stiffied by Joe Flacco at home, you know that you're the flaccid one. Flacco, 238, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Joe, I still don't believe in you. You're still gonna have a nice, relaxing night, hanging out, whether you win or lose. So it doesn't fucking matter to you. So Joe's neither happy nor sad because he doesn't care if they win or lose. So, but he's got to be a little boost, a little jump in his step. Who's the fucking coach? John Harbaugh.
One of the Harbaughs.
Yeah, one of the Harbaughs. Good weekend for the Harbaughs. Michigan won. Baltimore won. So whoever their dad is, Crazy Jack Harbaugh, he's having a great weekend. Yelling at everyone in Safeway for fucking getting in his way. I did not want to be around Jack Harbaugh. If I live my life, and there's a very good chance that I do without meeting Jack Harbaugh, I'm very fine with that. He's got too much intensity. I can't handle being around someone like that.
Pretty wild that Cincinnati and Baltimore are tied for first.
That's wild. I mean, not quite as wild as the Cowboys mushroom stamping the Jags, 40-7. Blake Bortles, bad Blake, showed up today. Dak Prescott, he's got a chip on his shoulder. People like me shitting all over him. I'll tell you what, I'm not get the fork out at all. I don't believe in you, Dak. I just think that the Jaguars this year, they really remind me of a few years ago. The Cardinals were in the NFC Championship game. They didn't change a ton of stuff about their roster, and then people started to get on them and say, oh, man, they've really got a clear path to the Super Bowl. This defense, this and the other. And then they just did nothing that year. Jaguars heading down a similar path.
Was that when Bruce Arians was the coach like a couple years ago?
And he's actually one of these on one of these NFL announcing teams now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I had to look it up. They kept calling somebody coach. And I was like, who the fuck is that? I was like, that better not be Jeff Fisher. They better not put him and let him sit there and criticize what anybody does in the NFL. I didn't see him, but I think that Jeff Fisher has been on a broadcast or two, and that's pretty ballsy.
That's ballsy to hire him because that broadcast is going to go 8-8. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to be good. It's going to stay 8-8. Get a new announcer. But yeah, the Jaguars 3-3. It's pretty surprising. I'm not gonna say that the Jaguars are gonna be at the bottom. They're gonna not make the playoffs. But right now, the AFC South, which you and me predicted was gonna be a crazy division, is currently a crazy division. We have Tennessee at 3-3, Houston at 3-3, and Jacksonville at 3-3. It's gonna be a fun season for the AFC South, except for the
unless you're Jim. At
which point you're 1-5. And, you're smoking rocks and crushing up whatever's
whatever's inside. Give me that. Throw it in the pestle or the mortar or whatever it is. Just throw it in there.
Are those Tic Tacs?
Crush it with the other piece of it.
Give me some Tic Tacs. Give me some table salt. Let me put some fucking Accession PM in there too, just for shits and giggles, and let me snort it up.
It's fine. Jim Irsay walks around with one of those electronic heart restarters, those whatever that's AEDs or whatever. Like he's got one of those strapped to his back at all times, and he's got a rash on him because they keep having to put those sticky pads on and off his body to get his heart going again. But he's got a system for it, so he doesn't give a shit.
You ever seen the movie Crank with Jason Statham?
Yeah.
That movie, did you know it's loosely based off of Jim Irsay's life, to where he also had a run-in with some Yakuza or some triads. I don't know those specifics.
I can't remember,
a lot of money to somebody.
It's one of my bald idols, Jason Statham, in the movie. So I've seen it. All his movies kind of blend together. I'm like, oh shit, Jason Statham's got a new movie coming out. Oh, I'm definitely going to see that.
He's going to add a poster to my wall real quick. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and put this Transporter 9 poster up. Just kind of move that into the corner, and then we'll make room for this. Move a couple candles around. We don't want to get anything on fire here today. So,
I never get
Jason Statham, The Rock. Thank you guys once again for existing.
The Rock hasn't been bald forever though. The Rock, he had something going on, but he recently has gone bald and never. I saw
this thing where this guy was doing like a toupee. Like he was a younger guy, his 20s, good looking guy. And I don't know. I mean, that was something I never once considered.
What, a toupee?
A toupee, yeah.
Have you ever smelled a toupee? You ever been next to somebody
I don't know.
Smelled one?
I don't know. I don't imagine they smell good though.
I was sitting next to somebody one time, and I didn't realize he had a toupee. I just thought his hair was cool because I was like, oh, this guy's got cool hair. It's all fucking gnarly. It's all gnarled and it's crazy. It looks cool. But it just didn't look right. And then something smelled like a wet towel. And I didn't know what it was. Something smelled like the inside of my car. And I didn't know what it was. And when I stood up to get off the bus, I look at this guy's hair, and it looked like this thing had it was almost like falling apart, almost like the Texans field 2 years ago when they didn't have the money for the Monsanto product.
Or like Michael J. Fox in the band scene in Back to the Future.
It just didn't look right, bro.
Playing really slow and off key.
Oh yeah, it just didn't look right. But yeah, it smells like a wet towel. It's like,
God damn it, kiss the girl.
So if you're wearing a toupee,
Fox back in the game.
My one comment is if you're wearing a toupee, just leave it outside every once in a while, let it air dry, let the sun kill all the microbes in there, and then put it back on. And, because that's something people don't think about, you can smell that shit, what I mean?
So here's what I was looking at. So there's a video of this guy. So obviously I'm a bald guy, so I'm interested. I want to see what's going on here. I'm not about ready to start gluing AstroTurf to my fucking head, but I'm interested as to how the process kind of works. And what they do is so he's thinning up top. So what they did is they cut like a full Larry David into him. So they shaved it off. And then they bicked like a full Larry David onto him, to where he had just the classic old man sort of bald haircut.
Yeah, the Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, so they left with nothing but the Benjamin Franklin hairs. And then after that, you see this glue, this white glue, and then, they start paintbrushing it onto his shaved scalp. And then they peel this thing back, they lay it on, and you see some barber, Edward Scissorhandsing his fucking new AstroTurf head.
Sure.
And then it looked fucking great. it looked great. Like it looked amazing. And, so I was like, all right, let me get into the comments here and see what the catch is, or like kind of how this whole thing goes. And this is how it works. So you do that, and there's a couple FAQs, frequently asked questions I'll answer for you. So the question was, how long does that last? And apparently when you get that done, it's at least 2 weeks that you're going to leave that thing straight up strapped onto your head. You're not taking it on and off daily. You are just gluing that thing on there, and then you're going to wait 2 weeks. And another thing people were talking about, they were like, doesn't your real hair keep growing underneath that? And it definitely does. So it starts springing up like weeds through the wig.
Oh my God.
And then eventually that's one of the reasons, like as you get more hair growth underneath it, that I think maybe you lose a little of adhesion, and then you get some funk to it. But I don't think you really wash that thing. Like, I don't know how it goes. I don't know if you're with the shower cap on, trying not to wash the glue out, but I could see how that would get funky.
It just smells like a wet towel. That's the only way you can describe it. You ever left a wet towel in your car in Florida, 90-degree weather, and then 2 days later you go in, you're like, what smells like death? What smells like the
Or when you get out of the shower, every time you dry off, it's like, you smell like fucking mildew. Yeah, and then you forget about it until your next shower. And you're like, God damn it, I got to throw this thing in the hamper.
Yeah.
But you just end up hanging it back up on the rack and then using it again the next night. I'm currently in that cycle right now. I've had 2 days of like, I got to fucking switch this towel. But it's exactly. I'm probably thinking again tomorrow when I wake up and use it.
You hit the nail on the head. Exactly. That's exactly what it smells like. Speaking of hair, we always somehow get to this shit. You got to Google Carlos Boozer. A couple years ago, he didn't want to. I don't know what stage of the balding crisis he was in. I think stage 3.
If he's doing something crazy, it's definitely the bargaining stage.
Oh, it's in bargaining. Excuse me. Anyways, he's in the bargaining stage. He it looks like he, during the game, is when he was playing for the Bulls. It looks like he made a pit stop to Walgreens before the game.
The hair in a can.
No, he took a Sharpie, like a permanent marker.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
And he used that and what appears to be a piece of paper and wrapped a piece of paper around his forehead and then proceeded to color it in. And
I'm looking at it right now. Carlos Boozer explains that he used fake hair dye. Let's go ahead and look at this. So apparently we went over it on the Lebitard show. So this was back in 2015. So this is all
not a good look. Not a
from
good look.
Dan Lebitard's Highly Questionable. So Lebitard says, what was going on with your hair that day? And he's like, oh, man. So listen, so truth be told, as you could tell, I started losing my hair a little bit. So Bomani Jones, he was co-hosting at the time. He's like, I know the struggle. I'm with you. So Boozer, he says, they came out with this. It's like a hair dye, like whatever. It's called Big Gen. Well, I had one guy that was like, you ever thought about growing your hair out? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I cut my hair off. So I tried it. And he just made myself look like shoe polish up there. This is 5 years later, and I'm still hearing about it.
Yeah, because it looked terrible. It looks like shit.
Yeah, so it is comically terrible. I was not familiar with that. As a member of the bald community, I feel like I've let everyone down by being unaware of that. But I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to feel bad, but I'm going to let those feelings wash over me. Because at least I never fucking put shoe polish on my head. That's a moment of desperation right there. And 7 or 8 times, like, I don't know what you do about that. I mean, I maybe at that point he's just got to glue a wig to his head. He says, you don't want to see what's going on here. But it's
kind of like, imagine having a conversation with somebody and they're not making eye contact with you. They're staring at your forehead. So you can't like continue your thought process because you're like This guy's not even listening to me.
Do I have some sort of spider on my head? Why are you looking up there?
Like,
They're
boa constrictor on the top of my head,
and they're concerned. Like they're both of those things.
Is there a black widow spider in my head? Is that what you're looking at? Some type of lizard?
Oh, you're looking at the shoe polish. That's right.
Right.
I forgot that I
forgot that I stopped by at Walmart and picked some Flex Seal, and it ain't going too good.
I love that Flex Seal shit. I have it. I've never used it. I've never had a need for it, but I feel good that if the time ever comes, I need to turn a screen door into a fucking boat. Like I'm gonna be able to do that. I got it. All the pieces, all the components to make a boat out of a screen door.
It's as awesome as you think it is. I mean, it's amazing. I used it to plug up, like I was renting, and there was like a pipe in the AC that I could see it leaking, and I had a couple options. I had the mature option. I could, call a plumber. That's option A.
No.
Option B is maybe get some type of tape and some type of insulation, electrical tape, and kind of close it shut. That's option B. Option C was to contact my landlord and let him know, hey, there's a problem with your AC. I don't want your house or your future renters having an issue. That was option C. I elected for option D. Drove my dumbass to Walmart, picked up a can of Flex Seal, spray painted the fuck out of it, and the problem was fixed.
Boom.
Threw some baking powder on the floor, fucking some fabric softener thingies, some little sheets, a candle nearby, and problem was fixed.
You should have sent your landlord a bill after that for as much trouble as you went to.
It was pretty awesome. I just saw the commercial. I think I saw the commercial, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this shit out, and it worked. So whatever the fuck the guy's name is, Bobby Mays, Billy Mays, thank you. Thank you, sir.
No, it's a different guy. The Billy Mays is dead.
He died.
Yeah, he's dead. There's another Billy Mays sort of guy. That's
well. Let's do this.
Talking that shit.
Speaking of death, let's talk Eagles Giants.
Let's talk about the death of Eli Manning's career and how fun it is to watch.
Yeah, I think we, for the one person that listened to our podcast in China, Eli Manning first possession interception. It's not looking good for Eli Manning.
Now he was terrible, and it's funny because Giants fans, while they will recognize the fact that he's shitty, they will always fall back on he beat Brady in the Super Bowl twice. It's like, okay, he did back in 2007 and 2011. All right, so
right.
That did happen.
Because to be honest, truth be told, it was only Eli Manning. Nobody else played a role in that win.
Yeah, it's not like they had the best defensive line in the league. It's not like, You
had a JPP with a full hand.
Yeah, they had JPP with 10 digits, which is a better version of JPP.
The best version.
Yeah, the best version. Most people are the best version of themselves with all their appendages. JPP, not an exception to that. And the question now is, how do they go about tanking out? The other thing that was interesting, I just saw this in passing. I didn't really read it, but apparently Odell said a bunch of shit last week and then gave an apology. And then today he came out and he's like, you know what? Fuck that apology. Strike that apology from the record. I'm not sorry about anything. And here's what I think.
Said that, really?
I think Odell's fucking done in New York. He's got his money.
Yeah.
And he's trying to basically pull a Jimmy Butler. I think he's doing a Jimmy Butler. Yeah. And he's just going to come in and be like, you fucking need me. You fucking need me. You suck. And he's going to play hard, but be as big of a distraction as he can be in some sort of effort to extricate himself from their horrifying situation. And I'll tell you what,
I think that's a bold move too.
If you're the Giants and he's the only trade chip that you have, I'd think about getting rid of him. I mean, what kind of difference is he making? Nothing. If you can do whatever you can to get a quarterback in the building that can throw the ball more than 30 yards, you're moving up in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we've all played enough fantasy football where you got to sell high. And Odell Beckham, he's still a wanted product. I don't think he's that good of a player. I think what he does is incredible in a highlights reel. But you just get as somebody who's bigger than him and just put a little pressure on him, he's going to have a hard time catching balls with two hands or one hand.
He intentionally catches everything with one hand to the point where it's not even impressive. It's like, I get you caught that with one hand, but you could have caught it with two just as easily. So I'm not impressed by that. That's his
He's doing the basketball thing. Yeah. He's doing the thing where he's trying to sell his brand. He's trying to make it about an Odell Beckham. He's probably got the T-shirt. He's probably got like the OBJ hat with like a little star or a little crown over the O. Some bullshit. If I was him, what I would do is I would go immediately to a Carnival Cruise Line, hire a bunch of strippers, take a lot of Instagram pictures with blunts in my hands, and just become very toxic and get traded, I don't know, to the Lions or something so you can hang out with Golden Tate so you guys can be toxic together, but at least you're getting paid.
At least the guy's getting paid. Now, here's a fake trade that I proposed to a very large...
For Derek Carr? Absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't do that. Oh, no. At least Eli, you can get rid of him. Carr's got some shit left on that contract. So I'm the Jets GM and you're the Giants GM. What if I called you up and I said, I'll trade you Josh McCown, my backup quarterback, NFL journeyman. I'll trade. Here's the situation, too. You're the Giants GM, and you, John Mara, the operating partner, the main owner of the Giants, comes to you and he says, listen.
Wait, who am I? I'm the Jets owner?
You're the Giants general manager. All right. Okay. The Giants owner comes to you and he comes to you in your office, and he says, listen, if you don't win at least 6 games this year, you are fucking fired. No matter what. So you can't tank this thing out. Your objective cannot be to tank this thing out. You are fighting for your life, and you need 6 wins, and you're sitting at 1-5. So you got to go 500 the rest of the way. And then ring, 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 ring. The phone rings. And I'm looking for some emotional leadership for my young quarterback. And I don't need the person I'm bringing in the building to be able to throw a fucking football. So what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to offer a trade straight up, Josh McCown for Eli Manning. Are you going to take that trade?
I don't think so.
No. You're a madman.
I don't think so.
You're a madman.
Why would I take Josh McCown?
What's that?
Well, can I just approach other GMs?
No, this is the only phone call you're ever going to get about this. No one else is interested in Eli Manning. I'm just a madman. I'm a madman willing to make this phone call. And you got one shot, Eminem style, Josh McCown, or you got to play Eli out the rest of the year.
This is my problem. I always think it comes back to the schedule. I'm gonna read the schedule to you. I got to go to Jacksonville.
Loss.
I got to go to Dallas.
Loss.
I got to go to Dallas. I got to go to Houston.
You got a chance.
I got to go to New Orleans.
You've already lost these games. You've already lost all these fucking games.
I'm going to lose New Orleans. I'm going to lose in Carolina. I'm going to lose in Philadelphia.
So you lost all those.
I'm going to lose to Atlanta.
Loss.
I'm going to lose to Washington. I'll probably beat San Francisco. Yeah. I'll lose to Philly. I'll probably lose to Washington.
You missed Tampa Bay.
I'll definitely
miss Tampa Bay.
I did. Tampa Bay. I'll probably lose. I'm going to lose all these games.
You got 2 maybes on your schedule if you keep things the way they are.
Now I'm going to tell you something. If you give me Josh McCown, nothing expectation-wise changes.
I'll tell you what. If you get Josh McCown, I think you got a chance against the Falcons. Their defense will give it up. Not to Eli. I mean, not to everyone but Eli. Washington will beat you. You got a chance at San Francisco. You got a chance at Tampa Bay. You got some chances down the road.
If you give me Josh McCown and then some type of shit, my O-line gets a little bit stronger in the process, then yeah, I'll make that trade. But if you're just going to give me Eli for Josh McCown, I'm not doing that. I mean, it's the same thing. You're giving me Josh McCown for Josh McCown. I'm unimpressed by both of those quarterbacks.
I put Eli firmly below Josh McCown. So we're at a disagreement there. If I'm the Giants GM and you're making that call to me,
Why do you say that? Just out of curiosity. Why do you?
Because Josh McCown can throw a fucking football. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, that guy can still play. You know, he's not the
when was he ever
he wouldn't be a backup to a rookie if he was the greatest quarterback in the history of the world. But if something happens to Darnold, at least they got somebody that can come in and play football. So
yeah, but Josh McCown's been like a decorated backup. If he was any good, I mean, he's been in the league since 2002.
I don't know. We spent way too much time talking
years.
about Josh McCown at this point. We're not that.
I'll tell you. Let me ask you a question, though. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
You're probably gonna make.
I'm the Giants GM. Make me.
You're the Giants GM. I'm the GM of whoever owns Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer for Eli Manning.
Yeah. Take him.
Okay.
Take this fucking asshole.
Is there anybody?
I'll trade Brock. I'll trade him for Brock at this point. That's how low I am on Eli Manning. If you're Mike Tannenbaum and you call me and say, "Hey, I got Eli for Brock straight up," yeah. Man, they're both terrible. They're both going to stab me in the back at some point during the game. But at least I'll be able to watch Brock throw like really hard fastball interceptions instead of floating them out there. And there's something that's a little more palatable about that to me.
I guess you're right on that end. Who's their backup? Who's the Giants' backup?
Oh, somebody you never heard of. They've very strategically stripped anybody with any credentials away from the Eli Manning backup quarterback position. So if you can't name who the backup quarterback is, you can't lust for them to come in the game. Right?
That's a good move by the people trying to sell T-shirts. That's a very good mood. A very good move if you're trying to sell Manning.
But
T-shirts.
Let's not forget that he was benched for Geno Smith last year, and that it was a warranted move. I know people hate Ben McAdoo and his greasy hair, but he was doing the right thing. He's just too hateable of a guy to get away with it.
Yeah. He just had a bad season. I mean, if Pat Shurmur does that, well, actually, let me ask you: if Pat Shurmur does that, is he going to get the pitchfork reaction, or is he going to get like a little applause?
I think if they're staring down the barrel of 1-7, and he does that, people are going to understand.
Okay.
And I don't think this is Eli's last year, man. Like, there's no fucking way you can justify bringing him back for $18 or $19 million again next year. No way.
No.
I mean, I'd rather have Bortles at this point. Like, I'd rather have Blake Bortles.
What about Tyrod Taylor?
I'll take Tyrod. I'll take him. Eli's probably about the 50th best quarterback in the NFL right now. I'll take at least half of the backups over him. At least half of them.
Yeah, you've been shitting on him. Mariota?
Yep. Take Mariota.
Blaine Gabbert?
Yeah, I'll take Blaine Gabbert.
CJ Beathard pre-applesauce.
I'll take CJ Beathard whether he's conscious or not. I don't give a fuck. I'll take his lack of being able to see straight because he's been concussed too many times over Eli.
I'm like running out of shitty quarterbacks to name. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough, but that's the way it is, Eli. We got the Chiefs at the Pats going on right now. They're at the end of the first quarter. We're going to get off of this thing so we can go enjoy this fucking beautiful football game the gods have laid out for us. Pats they're up right now 10-6, 1 minute left in the first quarter. I'm excited to get in front of my TV for this thing. So we're going to go take off, do that. PG, closing thoughts on Week 6 NFL?
No, just I hope everybody bet the over because if the Chiefs score a little bit more, you're going to get a pretty wild.
I mean, that's 16 points in the first quarter, so that's 32. That's 64. You're going to get there at this pace.
But yeah, that's it. Good seeing you. I'm excited. I can talk and my mic is working, so I'm pumped.
We're pumped about that. You got to be pumped about this not sounding like the worst audio in podcasting history. We like to think that we're through that. We worked hard on that for you. So we're going to go ahead and enjoy this game, the fruits of our own labor. Everybody have a great rest of the week. We'll see you Thursday for Week 7 NFL preview.